Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to An Impact on Your Health. An Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. An Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. An Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, fascinating health topics, and of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, good friend of mine today, a topic that's going to be very interesting. We've been promoting detoxification and heavy metals in particular for a long time. But did you know there's a natural way, a natural, to remove those heavy metals without any harsh pharmaceuticals whatsoever? And this is the brainchild of our guest today, the head and CEO of a company known as Body Bio, and a famous wife combination, Patricia Kane. He is Ed Kane, the CEO of the whole thing, and he'll be our guest today talking about a unique way he discovered, if I hear this right, 30 years ago. Why are we just talking about this now? Well, maybe we'll be able to reveal that to you, but Dr. Ed Kane, or Mr. Ed Kane, will be our guest today talking about natural chelation and trace mineral replacement. I think it's a unique idea. I know I've adopted it here in my office, and if it sounds intriguing to you, come on in. So in the course of our discussion today with Mr. Edward Kane, if you want to call in to make a question or to make a comment or to ask a question, the number, of course, is 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. And I'll give that number additionally throughout the hour. Now, up and coming, here's the schedule, and we are moving along at a pretty fast clip in the month of May. Don't forget tomorrow night, for those of you who want to learn more about essential oils, and in particular the essential oils made by a company known as Young Living that we've been promoting there well into 2 years now. Sharon Bovalina, our recent and local representative, is going to be holding a meeting here in the office, my office, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Now, anybody's invited that wants to participate, just give us a call to let us know you're coming by dialing us up and just mentioning it to Kim, the office manager, 724-942-3002. We'd love to have you to learn more about it. It was well attended last month, and we'll continue to have these monthly meetings as long as you continue to show that you want them to happen. And this one will be taking place tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, here in the office. Now, radio guest-wise, on Monday, good friend of mine, John Tobridge from the wonderful state of Texas and the town of Houston, or nearby at least. This gentleman has been a trendsetter in the alternative realm for as long as I've known him. Did an excellent job of presenting the whole concept of chelation therapy at a recent conference held in the top docs, the top chelation doctors in the country. I was very proud to be asked to present there, but 17 of us have written it called the Top Docs Chelation Therapy and Other Vital Detox Methods to Save Your Life. We have copies of the books here. John Tobridge's chapter is one that really should stick out above many others, and he did such a fine job. I'm bringing him on board on chelation in the technical sense, as he did so well in presenting it to us. On next Wednesday, 1 week from today, we're bringing Lee Cowden back. Lee Cowden, a board-certified cardiologist who sort of found his way, and it was not to pursue cardiology that he had worked so hard to become board-certified in. No, he chucked it all, pretty much to the chagrin of everybody around him, and moved into the alternative realm. It has been our gain ever since. This gentleman is a cut above, way above everybody else, and he will be here next Wednesday talking about a topic not usually looked to by physicians as being the expertise, but this gentleman certainly has it, talking about energy therapies. There's so many of them out there. Which ones are helpful, which ones are not, in his hands, which have produced the best results, which ones battle a little bit. The book he's written called Energy Therapies will be on display, and we'll ask the great one himself to sort of tick through these one by one and talk about how he feels about all of them. Lee Cowden, our guest, 1 week from today. Speaking about meetings, a very special one to be held up there in Butler where it all got started 40 years ago. The 40th anniversary meeting of the Freedom of Choice in Cancer Therapy Group will meet on Thursday night. That's fourth Thursday night at the Days Inn, just south of Butler there on the right at 7 o'clock. So many years I announced the meeting that was taking place up there, and they're having their 40th. It went back to Butler for a special meeting there, and I'm sure many festivities that are unique to any anniversary. Dave and Faith will be presenting much of what they do as the featured speakers, and see if I can get up there. It's a little far for me, but I used to make it all the time, and will attempt to do it myself. You, who used to go to these up in Butler a lot, we've been holding them in Oakmont, and we'll continue to do so, except this one right here, the 40th anniversary, going back to where it all started. The following week, on the 27th, that's after the Memorial Day weekend celebration, which looks like a little earlier this year, we have brought you the concept of microcurrent, in particular frequency-specific microcurrent. We said at the time there were two companies that warranted, brought into the marketplace, at least in my office, and promoted by the people who deal with microcurrent around me, because they're claiming that these two companies make a finer device, more fine than any of the others. The company that sticks out like a sore thumb is Avasia. And Avasia is going to be here. The CEO of a company called First Alternatives will be here to talk about the Avasia company and the product. You'll want to stay tuned for that. That's on Wednesday, the 27th. That's 2 weeks from today. Look forward to having you there at that time to meet Michael. That'll round out pretty much the month. We're reserving Fridays for open phones, giving you the opportunity to come on in and just share with us whatever it may be, question or comment. And it looks as though for the next 3 weeks, that'll be unobstructed on the Fridays, and that's what we'll do. I'll turn the page at the end of the month. I'm looking into the month of June just to mention a couple things. One, Dr. Susan Smith-Jones will be with us on the 10th. That's a little different for Susan in that she normally comes first Wednesday, and she had a commitment. I actually forgot to ask her what that was, but hey, we'll be happy to have her on the 10th. And then the gunslinger himself, I refer to him as the gunslinger, Dr. David Minkoff, one of the top docs who presented at the Chelation Therapy Conference in St. Pete. Didn't have to travel too far to get there either. His base of operations is Clearwater, Florida, but he specializes in Lyme's disease. And I don't call him the gunslinger for nothing. This gentleman takes it, I think, personal. He's really personally affected by someone suffering with Lyme's disease, and he aims to conquer it. We want to have with that. The gunslinger is going to be our guest on the 17th of June. That's way out there. That's over a month from now. Just wanted to talk about it. A lot of clinics coming up for eyes. Should mention very famous happening going to be going on here next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The first official cataract clinic in the Western Pennsylvania area that I know of. Heck, forget about Western Pennsylvania, the whole Eastern Seaboard. Nobody has taken this one on. I believe we're about to conquer this one. We're doing already very well with the dissolution of cataracts, especially when they are mild to moderate cataracts. Dr. Todd Wiley, who was our guest last Monday, actually with the PEMF device called a Beamer, is having fantastic results. He's at about 60% right now success rate. We want to pump that up. 60 is great, especially for those who don't want to have that surgery done, where they take out the old lens that has the cataract on it and put in a new artificial lens. There are problems with that, both just immediate post-op problems as well as long-term. Anyway, he's already at 60% with the use of the Beamer. We need to pump that up and get it to the 80 and 90% range we are able to accomplish with all the retinal diseases we've been treating for a long time. So if you think you'd like to be a part of the first cataract clinic, because maybe this surgery issue is looming over your head, or maybe it's so far, and that's probably maybe my take-home message. I mentioned it the other day. The standard operating way that this is discussed by the doctors is, oh, you know what? I've noticed that the beginning of a cataract here in your eye. Now, it's very early, they would say, and so we don't have to do anything about this right now, but we'll just wait. We'll just keep monitoring this, and I'll let you know when it'll be time for you to go have that surgery. And so the clock has begun, and as you begin to deteriorate more and more, finally that date will approach. Well, for those folks who are in that early stage where, I think I see a cataract there, but we'll watch it, don't watch it. This is the perfect time to erase that cataract. These are the people having the greatest turnarounds when the lens isn't so cloudy. It's pretty easy to wipe off, evidently. So, with that in mind, I don't care whether you have a major and well-developed cataract or just that early one that they're watching as it ripens. They use the term ripe, by the way. In either case, you may want to be involved with the cataract clinic. Give us a call here, and a new number. I'm going to give you a brand new phone number that's unique. It's only coming to the switchboard for the Pittsburgh Eye Protocol, the name of our group here, affiliated with Dr. Ed Condrat's Healing the Eye and Wellness Center located in Florida. The new phone number, if you want to call, and Sister Sarah will be the only one who answers, is 724-993-0500. That's 724-993-0500. If you'd like to find out more about the Cataract Clinic as well as up-and-coming clinics, we do have a second cataract clinic the first week in June, and then looking off into the future, the regular 3-day Condrat eye programs for the retinal disease. The next one up is going to be on June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, 2, 3, and 4. Why don't you give us a call at that new number and talk to Sister Sarah and ask whatever questions you need to ask logistically or professionally about if you qualify for these programs at the number, once again, 724-993-0500, the new number for the Pittsburgh Eye Protocol. Only rings at the Pittsburgh Eye Protocol. That is it. What else? Oh, the vitamin C kits. We brought this first to you, I'm thinking it's 3 years ago now, for those who really wanted to take vitamin C, but of course there's two issues. You know, it's got to be non-corn derived, tough to find, and the lecithin that you have to mix it with to make it liposomal is very difficult to find too if you're looking for a non-soy derived product. Anyway, Sister Sarah went out and found them in the marketplace, and we have these kits available, a 2-year supply of vitamin C, literally for pennies a dose. If you try to purchase those on your own from the commercially prepared ones, it's going to cost a considerable bit of money. This is how you save. If you want to do vitamin C and you want it to be of the highest quality, certainly non-GMO, but fat-soluble, you got to mix your own. We got the entire kit. It's containing the vitamin C, 1 kilo of vitamin C powder, which is citrus-derived, a kilo, 2.2 pounds. And then the starter set of the lecithin and a jewelry cleaner, the ultrasonic jewelry cleaner. Actually, you need that to make this stuff congeal, and then you make a liquid substance that you actually can take. If you're interested more about this, dial us up at 724-942-3002 for more on the matter. And then finally, should mention to you, the Beamer is up and running here in the office. I don't mean the BMW kind of Beamer. I'm talking about the Todd Wiley kind of Beamer that we've been driving around here since Monday morning. It is in service. If you want to learn more about the Beamer, I just refer you to YouTube, and there's one video that once you see it, you go, oh my goodness, I gotta have that. And so in the YouTube search engine, put down Beamer/vasomotion, and it only takes 3 minutes, and you'll be wowed by what you see, and we'll let it go at that. All right, folks, let's take a short break. In the interim, we're going to find our very good friend, the head president, big guy, and CEO of Body Bio, the other half of the famous team of Patricia Kane and Ed Kane. Ed Kane is our guest today. Chelation therapy au naturel. Wait till you hear it. It is uncanny what this gentleman did. We'll be right back with Ed.
Oh, am I on now?
No, hang on.
With heavy metals.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you today on a Wednesday morning version of the show, and a well-awaited show it is, folks. This gentleman I've known for a number of years now, and every time I'm around him, I learn so much each and every one of those occasions. I cherish them greatly. A particular topic we're going to get into today is one that he has put his handprint on 30 years ago, and it has evolved and become a signature item in his company, a well-known company. The company is known as Body Bio. They're located in Millville, New Jersey, central part of New Jersey. Of course, Ed's half of a double team effort here. His wife, a very knowledgeable practitioner, her name is Dr. Patricia Kane. The two of these folks have been a vital force in helping people contend with their health issues. Today we're going to be talking about how you do chelation au naturel, or at least that's why I describe it. Let me introduce you now to the head cook and bottle washer, president and CEO of Body Bio, Mr. Edward Kane. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Dr. Courtney.
So nice for allowing me to invade your morning. I asked you if you would do this. You had just returned from a 23-hour plane flight from Dubai. You were over there. I don't know really what you were doing over there, but I know you and Patricia went over there for some scientific purpose. You were exhausted, but you were nice enough to accept my invitation at that vulnerable moment. I thank you so much for allowing me to invade your morning once again on a topic that I think is really important, Ed.
Nice to be with you. The topic of minerals really is important, and it's so little understood in the scientific community.
Well, we're going to shed some light on that.
We need it, but we don't know how to get it in, and that was a big deal for us to try and come up with something that does that.
Well, I just wanted to mention to our listeners, this is going to be a fantastic discussion. if you want to just be able to dial up at any moment this discussion, I would advise you to head to bodybio.com. And on the opening page of Mr. Kane's website, just scroll down halfway down the page and you'll see a YouTube video ready to go, all queued up, and you can listen to essentially what we're talking about here in a very concise and well presented discussion that isn't all that long. So Ed, I've already given you the plug. They can come to the website and hear about it again and again, but let's take this thing apart, okay?
Okay.
Now, I was intrigued to learn that 30 years ago, you came up with some help with the concept of what we're going to be talking about today. What were the various factors that weighed in on it 30 years ago, and you realized, you know what, we should pursue this, and you have been doing due diligence on the issue of minerals for all that time. What were those factors that went into this idea 30 years ago?
Well, the principal factor was that my health had deteriorated so bad, my memory was almost non-existent. So I was really searching all over the globe for answers. And we did come up with an interesting scientist in Spokane, Washington, and he was gracious enough to share his concept to us. And he did it with animals. He would put out dishes on the floor and let them go over and sniff which one they wanted. And each one had a different mineral in it. And he watched as they went from one to the other. And they would, at different times of day, they would do different ones. Some they never even touched. So he learned actually from that experience with animals.
How great is that to observe animals and figure something's going on here? Some animals sashay up to one of these bowls, and other ones avoid it like the plague. Nature was working its way directly in front of him, and he perceptively picked up on, hey, maybe there's a lesson to be learned here. Is that the way you see it, Ed?
That's exactly the way. The fortunate part of him, he was a brilliant scientist, and his understanding of animal life and the minerals, that was a key part of his success.
So 30 years ago, the gentleman brings this concept to you. Now, what did you do with it? I mean, it certainly, from a scientific viewpoint, was intriguing. Did you jump right into this thing and saw it for what it was immediately, or did it languish there a while, or how long did it fester before it wound up becoming a part of what you did?
Well, I jumped in it in my kitchen for myself.
Yep, that kitchen of yours is famous. Everything happens in your kitchen, but go ahead, Ed.
And I stuck with it. I spent 1 year just taking the minerals and there were only 6 of them at that time. I later added 3 more that were vital. But in that time, I just worked on the 6, and I danced around for a year with going back to the test kit. So I made myself a test kit, and that was just plastic cups. And I put a sort of a plate on top of it. I would just go every day and test myself on each one. And I couldn't taste a thing. And day after day, after a year, I was so frustrated because I was anxious to get a taste on anything, and I was 3s. When you go to the website, you'll see that we number them. So number 3 was no taste, and I just couldn't get anywhere. So I sat my butt down, and I said, I'm going to lick this, and I took 5 triple doses every day. So that's every day I would make myself a drink, triple the dose in each one. So during a day, I would take 15 portions, where in the first year I was only dealing with 1 portion a day. Now I was 15 portions a day. And I did that for 1 year, and I tasted number 3, magnesium. I have to tell you, I danced around the kitchen like a nut. It works. It absolutely works.
What did you?
That was the opening day of my life, and that was 2 years into the program.
That was the aha moment. Now we should probably just back up a tad because you're talking about taste. Describe this process. I mean, he watched animals move up to, and they can't talk back. They more than likely just ignored a mineral or they went toward a mineral. We as humans have a better perception, and so we have ranges of how we appreciate them based on taste. Describe, when you do a test, what the possible responses are as you see them.
Well, if you watch a grazing animal, it's almost hard to even pick it up. But they will go after a grass, a particular, and they know every one of them. I don't know whether they name them, but they certainly know them. They have favorites, and they'll just chew away on the favorites because there's a response within them that gives them a pleasant response. They like it, so they stay there. And as soon as they go to a particular grass that may look good but doesn't taste good, it never gets down to the stomach. They spit that right out in a heartbeat. The tongue is so intelligent. So they're doing all this analysis for us on a continual basis. So we let them serve us dinner if we can catch them. That becomes analytic work just for us. It's a marvelous, marvelous setup. And we should really get back to that because that's how we got here.
Well, so when we test, and I think you talked about doing some early testing yourself, you ultimately came up with 7 possible responses that you could discuss after sampling every one of those 8 or 9 minerals, however you look at it. And what are the possible responses for the human who's taking this test, knowing that they have a taste bud that talks to them back, and they can record verbally what it is that they taste? What are the possibilities?
Well, the one that stands out dramatically is when something tastes sweet, or the opposite, when it really tastes ugly and you can't wait to get rid of it. So sweet and ugly is the opposite ends in the taste buds, and it's a reaction of the body. Sweet means you really need that mineral.
You really need it.
You don't let that out of your sight. But then we go down to the next one is semi-sweet, pleasant. The next one is a 3, no taste at all. But you still need it with no taste at all. It's still talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is 4, and 4 is the home plate. That's what we want. We want to taste that. We want to run that through our taste buds and just get an indication that something's different there. It's not unpleasant. It's not good or bad. It's just no longer just plain water. That tells us that you have picked up something in there that you need, and it's okay to take more of it. But that you're really at home base. If you have 4s on every one, you're a superstar. That's the name of the game.
That's the one we'd like to get to. Now, what happens when you move on the upper scale, 5, 6, and 7? What's that like?
Well, 5 is a little bit stronger. 4. That's all that is. So when you get to 6 already, that really is no good. But 7 is really, really disturbing. So you have so much of that mineral that the body says, don't give me any more of that at all. Move away from that one. So that simple 1 to 7, it's so easy to conceive and so easy to do. All you've got to do is use it.
Well, that really is the animals walking up to the dish of 30 years ago, because we can verbalize what we taste. We can have 7 different responses. I think that was pretty unique that you've divided into 7. Working at 4, the very mid-range as the go-to where you want to end up, and playing out in front of us as we do this, just as happens in nature. Those animals that are grazing and chewing up the grass because it's so sweet, innately and intuitively know they need that. And if they don't eat that because it tastes so doggone bad, they got too much of it. And doggone, a human being can do the same thing, can't they?
Right, absolutely. We can just follow the course because that's how we got here. We absolutely had to use our taste buds or we never would have made it. There's so much poisons out there. Plants will put poisons in. They're intelligent on their own just to keep you from eating their leaves. That's self-preservation. So we have to dance around and see to get the ones that taste pleasant, does not have the poison and won't bite us. And that's the target. And we must have had that for our evolutionary years. There's no way we would not be here.
Now, when it comes to these minerals, probably two questions just are begged to be asked at this point. Number one is, what's so doggone important about these minerals? And number two, how did you pick these, or how did the gentleman 30 years ago pick, and you said you add 3, why just these 8? And so I'm anxious to hear the answer to both of those questions.
Well, if you're into biochemistry itself, the scientists and the teachers have all produced big charts in the chart you have all the methods and the procedures of the formation of a particular peptide or enzyme that the body needs. And you'll find they'll put like MN in the middle of it in very tiny, you have to search for it because the charts are very big. They're 3x8s.
Yeah, those are
3x6s.
The metabolic pathway chart.
See that manganese and they don't know where it belongs. Mn is manganese, but they'll put it on the chart. You'll go to another one, it'll be Cr for chromium. Another one, Zn for zinc. So they don't know where it fits in the formation of the molecule, but it's important and you can't do it without it. So that was our beginning because the chemistry of life has already been laid out. But the missing pieces they could not provide. All we did is take those ones that are on those charts and put them in a bottle and start the process there.
And so when it comes to various enzyme systems in the body, these minerals act as catalysts to allow certain reactions to occur. Are these the only 8 that do that? Or is it that when these are represented that the majority of the metabolic processes are allowed to proceed uninhibited? How do you look at that question?
There are more important enzymes and minerals than others. There are a few that may have some importance. We do not do because they're so slight. Vanadium is so there are boron. So there are a couple that we do not have, but we have the main ones, and they seem to work on this level. If they're not in that high enough sufficiency, they may be hard to identify.
Okay, so you decided on, I think you said you added 3. There is a total of 9, actually, that can be tested. You, as a company, really put the full force of the Body Bio behind it. You've developed little score sheets that you happily pass on to people who purchase your mineral kits. By the way, you can download a picture of the actual score sheet from your website. And you say you start taking these minerals every day, and you recheck and retest once a week. Well, let's talk about what minerals you take and how you take them once a day, and this rechecking of once a week, and when do the changes begin to occur?
Oh, the changes are dramatic, and they're almost instantaneous. You start putting in minerals that you need and you have been missing, they go to work almost instantly. The body will snatch those up, and you don't realize, and it's hard to identify. I had a kink in my left shoulder that always would appear and get stronger if a cold was coming. Well, it wasn't, I don't think, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after I was into the minerals, and I still couldn't taste them, but I was taking them every day, but only one portion a day. That kink disappeared. What happened, it went to the right shoulder. It didn't stay there, but I've had it for like 20, 30 years. I can't remember ever not having it. But it disappeared on the left side and never came back. And the right side only lasted for 2, 3 weeks, and that disappeared. Neither one has ever returned. Now, how many of those odd things would happen in your body that you don't even understand? In your knees, in your elbows, in your brain. They're all sensitive to ionic minerals. We need them. It's just a small indicator. And in the videos, I talk about my voice change, which I thought was quite unique. When my voice went up 1 octave, and that was after 3 or 6 months in it, as on a mild dose. And that was exciting for me. How can you imagine you now can hit a note that you couldn't hit for 25 or 30 years? So, and I have no explanation for that at all. That's some of the things that we saw happen, and there are many, many others.
By the way, you mentioned, and it probably bears notice, your eyesight greatly improved, which I thought, for my listeners especially, and as much work as I do with eyes, comment on how your vision was improved when you took the minerals.
Well, that sort of hit me without trying to search for anything. I just was looking out the window and I saw branches and leaves that I had been looking at for years, living in the same house 40 years. And I saw more of the leaves and more the branches. Then I would focus across the way, and I could make out more of everything. Everything got a little bit more clearer. And then when Patricia, my wife, was working in a clinic, and they were using the liquid minerals, and we got the same report. When I first learned about it, we passed it on, and others would say, yes, my eyesight improved. So it was a happening that we do not understand that any more than I did the kink in my left shoulder. But that improvement occurred with each and every one of them.
Wow, that's great. Now, did you feel, in retrospect, that you lost a year? Because taking these single doses, as you say, per day, it wasn't really, you got immediate feel betters, but you really had some traction when you jumped to the triple doses, and is that why you recommend them to everybody? Actually, you can begin right at the triple doses now?
Yes. Now that we know how the function is and how the control, because we're after control. We don't want to take a mineral that you already have too much of. And I did not understand it initially when I started. So after that, we zeroed down on it. You can really take all that you want if you test yourself. You can't do it if you don't test. Let's say that I wanted to dump a lot of zinc in and I was short of zinc. You won't hurt yourself in triple doses or quadruple doses. I mean, you can go to a very high level, but you must test yourself, because the body will record it almost instantaneously. And if you do that, so then we said, well, okay, let's do a triple dose. Like I did with the dentist in Florida, I said, I want you to take 3 triple doses. So he was taking 9 portions every day. Prior to that, I had been working for a year and a half on taking triple doses 5 times a day. So but I was always careful in testing, because the worst thing you can do is take minerals that you have too much of. Now you're reversing the whole system.
Yeah, I understand now. Perfect. All right, so let me ask you this. You say on your videos, and once again, I recommend anyone listening to us right now who thinks they'd like to just recheck on this discussion, you can always go back to my website and listen to this show, but you can go to bodybio.com, and on the opening page, Ed did 3, and they're not lengthy at all, Ed. They're very concise. They're excellently done. I got to salute you for that. But for my listeners who'd like to go do that, head to bodybio.com on the opening page and just click on the YouTube presentation, and in a very rapid way, you'll be able to get right back in the stream of this. It took you say, 2 years to finally compensate for all of your minerals so that you had a taste of every one of them. Is that the way you say it?
No, yes, close to it because I tasted number 3. Our mineral number 3 is magnesium. That was the first one. And it took me another 6 months, bit by bit, staying on the program, but not increasing the number 3. Once I got to a taste and I sensed something there, that I only took one portion of that. So instead of the 15 portions, the only one I took was one portion of that. And then bit by bit, one chromium would come in, or potassium would come in, or, zinc. But after 6 months, I could taste them all. And then the regimen that I used was only one portion a day.
After that, only one portion a day.
Portion a day, yep.
I should mention, and I've got the list in front of me, so for those of you out there wondering, geez, what is the minerals they're talking about? They're easily numbered in a kit that Ed's put together and prominently displays on his website. But minerals 1 through 8 are 1, potassium, 2, zinc, 3, magnesium, 4, copper, 5, chromium, 6, manganese, 7, a little odd one here, molybdenum, and 8, selenium, and even throw 9 in there for iodine. There could be a total of up to 9 minerals, and you say these are the most important ones involved with enzymatic and protein reactions in the body. Fair enough, Ed?
That is exactly right. They're the most important ones, and they work. Many of us understand selenium as a cleanup committee and oxidation. Molybdenum is extremely important for sulfation. Sulfation is really the cop on the beat to keep us running. But the rest of them are extremely important, especially zinc for brain function. So they're all critical for us, and we really need them, and the body responds miraculously if you get them all in line.
All right. We're going to do a little switch here because there's a dual benefit to doing this. Yes, you replace the minerals that you don't have, but there's another side of this equation, and I believe it's the true beauty of what you brought to the table here, Ed, and that is this concept of that the good metals will help you to get rid of the bad. Would you take that concept? Because I truly look at this as a form of natural chelation therapy, and as a chelation doctor of the last 20 years, I look at another option presented to me that has a beautiful payoff on the bad stuff, the heavy metals, the cadmium, the lead. Would you take it away and then talk about that discovery? Because I think that was one you weren't counting on.
No, we did not. We did not have it. You're exactly right. That end of it, we learned much later. Because that took some testing, and that probably took us clever 8 to 10 years before we got feedback on that it worked in that fashion. But I had done that, and for myself, without knowing, absolutely without knowing. Probably one of the best things that we could do in our atmosphere today, because heavy metals is with us. One scientist calculated that in the heart we have 20,000 times more mercury than we had in the pre-industrial age. So it floats in the air. These minerals are actually in the air because they're processed, and the manufacture of them just puts some of them out. So we have an exposure that we have today that we didn't have in our evolutionary years. So that particular feature has a lot more intelligence and value, and we are still do not understand all of that.
I get the part about not understanding it, but from my perspective as a doctor who's been on a quest for a long time to help rid people of heavy metal toxicity, I've used some pretty harsh and pharmaceutically, literally abrasive substances to do so, not knowing that there was a natural way to accomplish the same thing. So where I would test and do a provocation to find out what the metals are, one could do the testing to find out what the metals are. It's just you can use the replacement of the metal, the minerals that you're lacking to rid yourself of the heavy minerals that are toxic to you. And that to me is just an amazing realization, Ed. And take that concept a little more, how it is that you can get rid of the bad by taking the good.
It's not well known, but what is well known is the interaction between minerals. There's paper on top of paper how manganese will interact or in an opposite way than zinc. The same with copper and zinc. Certainly the electrolytes potassium and magnesium are critical for heartbeat, but the essence of how they interact with each other, we just don't know, but they disappear because we see it on the testing procedure. They no longer, if you have too much copper and you take all of them and leave copper out, pretty soon that copper mineral will come down. So we know that they benefit, and we know that they get rid of the heavy metals, but that is not understood. We think because a mineral can have the same atomic weight, not the atomic weight, excuse me, the ion concentration, the electron concentration, if they have the same plus twos, and there are a number of them, that mineral may fit in a plus two slot of an enzyme and then wipe out, let's say, a heavy metal like copper could jump into an enzyme where zinc was needed. And if that copper gets in there, that enzyme actually will not work. Now, the body goes to a great deal of trouble going down to the DNA, demanding and asking for that mineral. The DNA accommodates it. The cell manufactures it. But instead of having zinc in that mineral, a copper ion will jump in. Now the body has to take that enzyme and dump it, but the enzyme will never work. So then the body now is loaded with a toxicity level that it didn't have before because of the lack of zinc and the excess of copper. That's probably one of the easiest way of taking a look at it, that you're making something that you really don't need, and it becomes a toxic element.
Well, let me ask you specifically now, you're mentioning copper and zinc, and does this thing work similarly with the very toxic substance, like let's take mercury or cadmium or lead? Does a similar thing happen to allow you to rid yourself of these very well-known and toxic substances?
They do that because the putting in the minerals that you need seems to deprive the space for where they would fit, because we know they go through the membrane into the cell. In fact, they hide in the membrane because almost all of them are hydrophobic, and they love dancing around in the oil world. And when they get in locked in, we actually move them into the brain, so it really hurts our thinking capacity. And getting them out is critical. And what happens when we deprive them of the spots and the slots in those enzymes? They don't know what to do, so they're jostled out. They become singular, open, and free. So we can actually move them, and the game plan is to move them out through the kidneys or through the bowel, which we do. But we can't do it if they're locked into an enzyme that has destroyed that enzyme. It sits there. So that's probably the easiest way for me to explain it or think about it.
So by giving you the good minerals that occupy the rightful place in an enzyme system, you are able to bump out the bad metals that have occupied the space inappropriately and pathologically, but in so doing, you are able to, in a natural way, I underline the word now, able to rid yourself of heavy metals and avoid the use of these well-intended interventions by doctors using these harmful substances like EDTA and DMPS and DMSA. And I'm not saying that they don't have a role to play, but much more diminished in my viewpoint now that The Kane system has been explained to me, and I think this is resonating with our listeners today who are very concerned with heavy metals and are looking for an opportunity to rid themselves of it without exposure to the harsh pharmaceuticals. Did I say that right, Ed?
Absolutely. Very, very well put. Very well put.
That is just so excellent. Look, I purposely held off. There's some people, I hope they're still out there, want to get a chance to ask you a question. Will you take some?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, folks, let's see if we got a chance to come on in here with about 8 minutes left to go. Come on in the store. Hello, welcome aboard. Anybody out there? Hello?
Yes. Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Hello.
Hi, Ed. My question, I actually think I have two questions related to the detoxing of heavy metals. Some of the other modalities will suggest that you make sure that your detox pathways, your kidney, colon, and all that are optimal because you can, have problems when you're chelating out heavy metals. Any experience that you've had with that happening, or because this is kind of a slower process, people won't have that happen?
Well, we don't think it's quite that slow. It may take you a while to record it back to your taste buds in a positive way. I mean, because you're putting you're putting the minerals in, and there's a build-up time. But as soon as you put them in, and the body wants them, they go to work. But moving the heavy metals, there are so many of them. Cadmium and arsenic and certainly lead. I mean, they're floating out there, and they get into the body in all of us. So keeping them on the move happens instantaneously. But it's awfully hard for us to record the fact that they're disappearing. I mean, you have to go through a urine test, a 24-hour urine test, and it's cumbersome. But they do move out almost instantaneously.
Here's a way I'll ask the question I think she was asking. As a physician, I know that I have to be careful in how I administer my chelating agents, these pharmaceuticals, because of the inappropriate overabundance of the release of minerals. So I have to be cautious. Do you find that those levels of precaution need to be observed when using these good minerals to get rid of bad?
Not at all.
That's the question you were asking, wasn't it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There is no risk at all.
That's what I thought she wanted to have answered. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Very good.
And I have two other questions. Do you have any experience like using it on a child who, maybe 6, 7-year-old who's really not verbal? And someone do it and then just by the expression on the kid's face?
We've done that often with small ones that we can't get feedback that we're confident in. We usually do a third-party chelation, kinesiology method. We're using a third party, either the mother, and test the mother as to whether the child would, need that mineral or not need that.
That makes sense. Applied kidneys could work in those cases where you can't get a verbal response. Very good at that.
My last question, I think I know the answer. Do you ever stop needing it? The minerals?
No, I don't. I've been doing it since 1984, and I still take them every day.
And you just test once a week, though?
No, I test myself once a week. Yes.
Yes.
I have to tell you, I'm sluggish with that too. I may go 2 weeks and not test, because at this point I taste the drink. I make the drink the same way every day, and if it tastes different to me, I jump to the testing and see what happens. And bingo, sure enough, one of them I have too much of, and I have to leave out for a week.
So you're still changing, literally to this very day. 30 years later, you do this mixture, and you can tell almost immediately if there's something changes. And lo and behold, when you taste that, you recheck, and something has moved that you would have never known had you not done that checking again. Right?
Exactly.
Perfect.
And it's not enough time for it to do me any harm, because it's just too small a quantity, and all of the rest of it are there.
Wonderful.
So you've developed such a fine taste for yourself that you know.
Mm-hmm.
Over 30 years, I'm going to guess you have, Ed. So
Thank you very much.
Wonderful questions, by the way. That thing about you can't really overdo it. That has resonated with me, and I hope with my listeners, where there are precautions as a medical doctor for using EDTA or especially DMPS. My goodness gracious, so harsh. That is not a concern. You can never take too much too quickly when you're doing this thing with the heavy metals. It just, the body seems to have a way of controlling us to put the brakes on and allow to do this gently, even though you're using things like triple and quadruple doses. It's a minuscule amount compared to the harsh medicines. Is that the way you see it, Ed?
Very well put, Dr. Courtney. Very well put.
All right. By the way, do we have another caller out there? Any other questions for Dr. Ed? Anybody? Hello? All right. We're sort of coming in that home stretch. We're in the gun lap. We're coming around the final and ready for the run to the finish line. Ed, this has been a staple item in the Body Bio armamentarium. You have been known so many years now. When a product was out there and you didn't have to develop it, you brought it right in and you sell the doggone product right off your own shelves. But when a product was not out there, you took the time and literally made the thing, and you usually are like a one-man show when it comes to it. Now, I just mentioned that in closing because Body Bio is a company, folks, that you should get very comfortable with. Please head to the website. Ed, they're blasting us, saying it's our time out of here. So I'm going to end this abruptly by thanking you so much for coming aboard this morning and explaining this in only the way that you can. I'll be talking to you soon, my friend.
Thank you, Zod. Good to be with you.
All right, Edward. There you have it, folks. Edward Kane, President and CEO of Body Bio, with the 30-year story of natural chelation therapy. I'm going to say goodbye to you right now. Looking forward to see you on Friday. We'll open them up then. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney with Mr. Edward Kane saying so long for AM Impact on your health.